Hey, Cornerstone. My name is Scott, and I'm the pastor of disciple making here at our church. And today's Cornerstone connection comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Now, I want to ask, when you get up out of a chair, do you ever let out a sound like you were in pain? And you think, I've heard that before. Oh, that sounds a lot like my father when he was getting old. Well, guess what? You're getting old. And these daily pains that we experience are reminders of that. They remind us that our bodies are temporary. They're growing old, and one day we will die. You know, if we didn't have Jesus Christ in our lives, perhaps that would lead us to despair. But because we have faith in Jesus, we're able to look beyond the pain and trials of today and look toward the glorious future that awaits us. That's what the Apostle Paul did in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. He was telling the Corinthians, look, I have endured a lot as an apostle of Jesus Christ. In fact, he says there in verse 8, he says, we are afflicted in every way, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not driven to despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed. Always carrying in the body of death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies. For we who live are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our mortal flesh. Wow, Paul endured things that we've never had to endure. He faced death itself for the sake of the gospel, and yet he could look beyond all those trying circumstances to the future glory that awaited him, and it sustained him in the present. Look with me at verse 16. He says, so we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison, as we look to the things that are not that are seen, but the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient or temporal, but the things that are unseen are eternal. How did Paul endure all this suffering, all this opposition, all this persecution? How did he face death itself in these different cities he would visit? He looked to the things that are unseen. He kept his eyes fixed on Jesus. He remembered the future glory that awaits him. He remembered the fact that because Jesus rose from the dead, he too will receive a resurrected body. A body that will be immortal and imperishable, and he will live in the presence of God forever and ever. That is what sustained him and gave him the endurance he needed for that day. Whatever it is you're going through today, maybe it's physical suffering or spiritual oppression or some trying situation, don't get your eyes fixed on the things that are seen. Look beyond your circumstances and look to the heavenly reality that awaits you. You will one day live with Jesus, and all these things that trouble you today will be no more. These things that weigh so heavy on you are light in comparison to the eternal weight of glory that awaits you if you are a believer in Christ Jesus.